Greetings. Today is Sunday, July 28th. It's Pastor John with today's devotional reading. Our lesson comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 6. The lesson begins, sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is, the Sea of Tiberias. And a great crowd of people followed him because they saw the signs he had performed by healing the sick. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover festival was near. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for all these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered him, "It would take more than a half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite." Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up, "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go among so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. After the people saw the sign Jesus performed, they began to say, "Surely this is the prophet who is coming into the world." Jesus, knowing that they intended to come and make him king by force, withdrew again to a mountainside by himself. When the evening came, his disciples went down to a lake, where they got into a boat and set off across the lake for Capernaum. By now it was dark, and Jesus had not yet joined them. A strong wind was blowing, and the waters grew rough. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water, and they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I, don't be afraid." Then they were willing to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the shore where they were heading. This ends our lesson. Today, the 10th Sunday after Pentecost, we have this devotion. My husband's family and my family have very different views on leftover. In Jeff's family, leftovers are a thing to share. In my family, leftovers are something fiercely guarded. Leftovers are often viewed as expendable, but they too can be nourishing and life-giving. Jesus provides overflowing plenty, everything the hungry and yearning need, and then some more. It makes such an impression that the people wish to make him king. God gives generously, and God can take even the bits and pieces, the scraps, the leftovers of our lives to grace us abundantly. Nothing, absolutely nothing is lost or wasted. Even painful or troubling times may be used by God to feed, strengthen, and nurture us for the road ahead. God gathers them up to reveal lavish love and compassionate provision through our days. Jesus speaks tenderly, "It is I. Don't be afraid. Give me even the pieces. Nothing is lost in my creative redeeming." And our prayer for today, God, help me entrust to you the used up, leftover pieces of my life. Feed me with your grace. Amen.